Good afternoon, everyone. I'm going to go ahead and introduce our host for today and welcome you all to today's Battle Rhythm. It is exploring the trends and benefits of recreational therapy. It's going to be hosted by Jeanette Gillis, Director of Community Integration at America's Warrior Partnership. She is also the lead for America's Warrior Partnerships Network, which provides local veteran-serving organizations with connections to national resources when a veteran's request cannot be met locally. To find out more about the network, please visit americaswarriorpartnership.org/the network. That's it for me. Jeanette, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Allison, and I would like to welcome everyone to our February Battle Rhythm. We've got an exciting agenda for you today. Welcome to our affiliate communities, our 4-Star Alliance members, veteran service organizations, and all the guests that have joined us today. Today we have a change from our normal agenda. To enable us to explore recreational therapy more thoroughly as a topic, we decided to bring together some representatives from successful veteran-focused recreational therapy programs to share their experience and expertise with us all. We are going to begin today's Battle Rhythm with a panel discussion, so feel free to add any questions or thoughts to the chat box as we go along. We'll address the questions throughout the panel and at the end if time allows. I would like to welcome today's guests. First of all, we have Natasha Roseboom. She is the Veteran Program Manager and a certified recreational therapist from Higher Ground. Welcome, Natasha. We also have Eric Gray. Eric is the founder and executive director and a certified recreational therapist for Panelist Sports. Welcome to you, Eric. And we have Holly Potoeski-Daddario. Holly is the program coordinator and a certified recreational therapist from Project Sanctuary. So we are so excited to have all of you here. And after learning from our panelists, we're going to go into a breakout room for more discussion of our topic. Today's session will conclude at 3:15, and I will now hand today's panel session over to our moderator, Caitlin Cashwell. Caitlin is the Director of Community Integration here at America's Warrior Partnership. Caitlin?
Thank you so much, Jeanette, and thank you all for joining us to talk a little bit more about recreational therapy. So our intention of this panel is to understand a little bit more about recreational therapy, to explore the benefits of it, and discuss some trends. And we hope to provide y'all some information so that you can explore on how you can get the veterans you serve connected to recreational therapy programs and opportunities within your community and across the country. So I have a panel of 3 amazing individuals that have been a partner of America's Warrior Partnership for quite some time through our 4-Star Alliance. So I'm going to go ahead and introduce them, and then we'll get started into the conversation. So first, we'll start with Eric. Eric, do you want to do a quick introduction?
Here we go. Thank you so much for having me. So yeah, my name's Eric Gray, recreation therapist. Have a variety of kind of clinical background experience working in rehab hospitals and VA hospitals kind of around the Southeast, and then have experience working in community settings both out in Park City, Utah and Sun Valley, Idaho. So a little bit of background there. Catalyst Sports started back in 2012 when we took a group of disabled veterans up the Grand Teton in Jackson, Wyoming, back on 9/11. And so that was kind of the launch of our programs. Now we operate in 10 cities throughout the Southeast, providing veterans the opportunity to get out and climb and be a part of the community, as well as our new partnerships to help veterans get out and enjoy the sport of mountain biking.
Thank you, Eric, for the introduction. I'm going to turn it over to Holly. Holly, do you want to go ahead and introduce yourself?
Yeah, thanks so much. So my name's Holly. I have been a recreation therapist for about 15 years now, certified through NCTRC. Like Eric, I also have worked in many different settings with many different types of individuals who have all different kinds of challenges that they're trying to overcome. And across the lifespan, actually, from birth up until the old, more mature population. I guess that's a nice way to say it. So what I'm really excited to tell you about is the organization I work for, and that is Project Sanctuary. A little bit about Project Sanctuary. We are based out of Colorado. We were founded on the principle of when one person serves, the whole family serves. And we understand that every family is dynamic and different in their own way. So there's not just one way to define a family. There really aren't many organizations that host family retreats. There are several out there for the veteran or the veteran and the spouse. But our founder, Heather Ely, really found a need for hosting the whole family. Because like I said earlier, when one person serves, the whole family serves. So 100% of our programs are donor funded. Every military family can participate. The only requirement that you have is to be either active or a veteran. And the three main focuses where we shine is therapeutic recreation retreats, resource summits, and our family support.
Thank you, Holly, for sharing. And the founder, Heather Ely, she's been on the Battle Rhythm quite a few times. So we are glad to have Project Sanctuary represented through you, Holly. I'm going to now introduce Natasha. Natasha, do you want to do an introduction about yourself and the program?
Absolutely. Hi, everyone. I'm Natasha Roseboom. I've been, got my certification in 2013, so it hasn't been quite 10 years yet, but it's seemed to have flown by. Started out at a hospital doing physical rehab and went into more community recreation setting, and that full circle brought me into higher ground, where I started up our chapter location in New York back in 2016. So been developing programs, working on expanding our organization's reach, just not only in our community, but regionally as well, and helping to develop that across all of our areas and locations. Our main hub locations are Los Angeles, Sun Valley, Idaho, where we started in 2005, I believe. And then out here in Western New York, we're also expanding out programs into Texas and Montana and New Hampshire. And we're just looking to create more opportunities for people to experience recreational therapy with the resources that they have local to them. So our programs are posted on our website. Calendar registration is on our website as well. So once you are into our system, you'll start receiving program updates and all that. And we serve veteran service members and their families or supporters, similar to Project Sanctuary, where it's, we want to serve the whole family unit in that sense. So we do offer singles programs or individuals in relationships if their spouses can't attend. We offer couples programs, and then we also do family programs, just trying to full scope serve those who have served and their families along with them. And so our eligibility requirements, I guess you could say, are those who are experiencing symptoms of post-traumatic stress, traumatic brain injury, military sexual trauma, and or polytrauma. And I like to tell people it is not necessarily an official VA rating, but if you feel you're experiencing challenges in regard to any of those things, we'll have a conversation about it and we can dial in on whether our program's appropriate. So yeah, feel free to reach out if you have any questions. Look forward to chatting further with y'all.
So thank you guys. Let's see, hopefully Caitlin will come back on in a minute. I know we were talking about let me put on my video. Hi. So during our prep calls, we were talking about a little bit about like what you're doing with your organization, to me, that you were most proud about and really felt a lot of passion about. Can you speak to that? Holly, could you start us with talking a little bit about something that you are seeing your organization doing, or something you really feel passionate about within your organization?
Oh, absolutely. There's so many things to tell you. But one thing that I'm super proud of, because it involves me a lot, is our 6-day recreation retreats, where we bring in families and work on different things, communication, personal growth, PTG, which is post-traumatic growth. I'm sorry, I use a lot of abbreviations, forget that not everybody's does the same thing I do. But I like the 6-day retreats because we get to work with the whole family. Our parents and our adults do their classes, and we also do classes for youth and teenagers. And we mirror the youth and teens programs with the adult classes. So it's really neat because, they get these tips and tools that'll better help their family. But then we also cap them with a lot of recreation, outdoor recreation, which we know being outdoors is one of the best, modalities. Just being outside makes you happy and feel better. But we do a lot of different activities, from equestrian to ropes courses to zip lining. We have adventure, and we also have some more not as high impact or high energy, I guess, activities like creative arts and things like that.
Okay, I see that. Thank you, Holly. I appreciate you. Holly was just telling us about the things that Project Sanctuary is doing and what they feel really proud about, and sharing some more information about that organization. So Caitlin is getting back on. Go ahead, Eric. Would you share a little bit about your organization, the things that you're really passionate and feel proud about that you guys are doing right now?
Sure, absolutely. I think part of our goals is creating community. It's all about community and community integration for a lot of these guys. So what we do in terms of our climbing program, so we open it up to any veteran, really. So if you're interested in trying the sport of climbing, you come out, we'll work with you and teach you the skills that it takes to climb and to belay, to keep others, so that you can climb as a community. So this happens on a regular basis. And then once typically a veteran gets familiar with the process and feels comfortable working within the group of veterans that he climbs with, these veteran climbs happen on the same days as our Catalyst climbs, which are just individuals with physical disabilities in the community that are interested in climbing and learning how to climb. And so occasionally we might be short a volunteer, in which we will then pull a veteran over and be like, hey, we've given you these skills, and the skill sets that you need in order to work with this little kid that might be an amputee as well, or someone in the wheelchair, we might need a little extra help helping them up the wall. And so we're kind of introducing them to, like, you have the skills, you have the knowledge, you're still surrounded by your veterans, but now you're working with civilians. And so we kind of take it from that to once they realize that they can keep other people safe besides, another veteran that entrusts them, then we see them coming in with their family, because they now know the process of what does it take to walk into the gym, what hours are best for going into the gym and taking their family, and just setting them up for success. So that's kind of the pathway in which we'll start working with a veteran, from the very beginning, teaching them the skills and kind of progressing them all the way through, in a sense, no longer need to work with us, but still be supported within that veteran community.
Thank you, Eric. I think I'm back. Can you hear me?
We can.
Okay, great, awesome. So let me just get right back in here. So one thing that I did want to talk about is we talked in the prep call that therapeutic recreation is often forgotten, and I thought, like, oh my gosh, that is not okay, because I feel like this is such an important part, and we'll discuss a little bit more about the success that you see from an individual. And we already touched a little bit on that post-traumatic growth, Holly. And then Eric, could you touch a little bit on that mindfulness piece of the work that you do, and just kind of elaborate a little bit on that before we go to Natasha to talk about why recreational therapy?
Yeah, I think, there's recreational therapy, and then there's recreation that's therapeutic, right? And so I think all sorts of recreation is therapeutic, and just being careful on how we kind of use that terminology. It's like saying we're doing physical therapy, but we're not a physical therapist, right? But so that's that kind of aside, just kind of thinking about, if you want to provide true recreational therapy, I think we would all recommend hiring a rec therapist who can walk you through an API process and all that kind of stuff. But in terms of making your recreation more therapeutic, I think there are a lot of steps. And like you were saying, mindfulness, something that veterans will come back and participate and engage in activities. And they know there's a reason that they come back and do it, but they don't always think about what it is, and how it affects them. So there's a lot of research, and I'm glad I saw that Dr. Brent Hawkins from North Carolina is on here, because it sounds like he does, and I think he just commented. So I'd follow up with him. It looks like he does a lot of research in this. There's a lot of good research in just being outdoors. There's a good study on a group of veterans that just went down a river for 5 days, and there wasn't any like counseling or talking or anything like that, but there was a journal. And so they gave them the time to journal just throughout, 10 minutes a day. And that mindfulness of how they were feeling had prolonged effects versus those that just kind of went out and did. Of course, if you go out into nature and you get out of the city or you get out of the stressors, that's always going to be super beneficial. But if you can figure out what's affecting you and do I have more self-confidence? Are some of my symptoms of PTSD or anything like that changing? Then you're going to see that like implementing this into your life on a regular basis is going to make a bigger impact because you know why it's impacting you.
I think that's a good point, Eric, talking about the physical therapy versus, exercise and working out. So two very different things. And maybe that's how we can kind of see that there is a need for recreational therapy and having professionals be doing that piece. So Natasha, do you want to go ahead and talk a little bit about why recreational therapy?
Well, I think Eric and Holly did a really great job. Like my two main proponents that motivate me to stay in the field and advocate for our field and stuff like that. I think just with recreation therapy being, in the post-traumatic growth focus and strengths focused with setting goals for individuals, families, new units, whatever that looks like for them, using recreation as an opportunity to either define what success looks like or redefine what success looks like, and then using the mindfulness tools that they may have been introduced to either on program or before program or a friend recommended, and having that direct application live during an experience and knowing that your group of we call our week-long programs units. So our fellow unit members are also practicing these skills in real life time and seeing how quickly we can, experience the benefits of, breath work or journaling or communication or, those types of things of building trust with yourself or building trust with others, or, your nonverbal energy that you may bring to a horse program and, you can't get a horse to walk up to you and you're physically standing off like this. You're like, why? But then you open up and you're approached by this large animal. It's this beautiful moment. And so I think having the right people having those conversations, meaning our rec therapist on your team, of saying, hey, let's dial this in. Let's be more specific. Let's make sure we're setting you up for success and what that looks like for you individually, really provides an opportunity for people to just have this full holistic whole person, all areas of wellness experience and tapping into things in places that they may not have remembered existed or knew they had the ability to tap into. And so that's the rec therapy, why rec therapy for me. Plus it's fun.
Yeah. Well, thank you, Natasha, for sharing that. So let's talk a little bit about the impact on the individual. So Eric, if you could get us started in just talking through maybe what makes recreational therapy a great success story, or if there is an individual that you wanted to kind of talk about their journey. Go ahead.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that's kind of where you had stepped out, just talking about kind of our process and what makes our success stories within Catalyst Sports. It's getting veterans involved, engaged, giving them a purpose and giving them a community in which they can continue to give back with this new skill and this new passion for kind of what they do. and yeah, maintaining kind of, for us, staying within our scope of practice is important as well. We're not therapists, so trying to have a breakout session, and going deep into, the causes of PTSD or another traumatic event, is something that, we're very cognizant of, and we know that other veterans, can walk along veterans and kind of mentor them in a sense, but kind of knowing where Catalyst stops and knowing where other veterans can step in and be supportive.
Yeah, for sure. And thank you for catching me up to speed on what I did miss while I was out for a second. Holly, is there anything in particular that you wanted to talk about in relation to the direct impact on the individual and what you've kind of seen in your experience from recreational therapy?
Yeah, sure. Thanks. So something that we see a lot of is just the opening up of different conversations within the family. Doing activities with their families in a controlled and safe environment allows the veterans to put down their guard. It lets them to be able to be vulnerable in different environments and situations where they're not feeling threatened. And when they're doing these recreational activities, it's kind of like the vehicle that gets the conversation started, right? They start talking about the activity itself that they're doing. They might be doing a low ropes course, and the family has to get across the lava. Nobody can touch the ground, and just by working through those problem solvings and communicating through that gives them the tools to allow them or to help them talk about the bigger picture, the bigger things that they are struggling with at home. So an example I like to share when I'm talking about what I do with Project Sanctuary, one of my very first retreats, when I first started working there, we prepare meals for our families. We feed them, we serve them. They're our family for that week that they're there. And the first night, everybody comes in, it's so quiet. You could hear like a pin drop. But then by the last night of like the 6 days, you can't even hear yourself think. You have these big burly dads, who are just so grumpy faced, and they're like, I don't want to be here. My wife's making me be here, not wanting to participate. And then at the end of the week, you just like, they're just talking, they're having fun, they're laughing, they're belly laughing. It's just really neat to see. And a lot of that, I feel, was with the help of those recreational activities, because they're non-threatening activities. And just being around, we said it, Natasha, Eric has said it a million times already, about just that sense of community, not feeling as if you're not the only ones there going through what you're going through, looking around the room and be like, oh, it's not just me, it's not just my family. And that's one of the really neat things about inviting recreation into healing and growth.
Thank you, Holly. And Natasha, I know you have a pretty big impact story that you wanted to share. Can you speak a little bit more on how the equine therapy program helped a female veteran?
Totally, yeah. And so with our programming, our equine programming opportunities that we have for veterans and their families, we're similar to the recreation as therapy or recreation therapists type of semantics. We do horsemanship programs. We don't have PATH certified individuals. We don't have equine facilitated learning staff or anything like that. We have strategically developed programming specific to help our participants build a really unique bond with the horses that they're working with. And so that includes starting getting to know them in the stall, feeding them, grooming them, working their way up to building trust and doing the hoof picking on their own and saddling and lunging and all of that really cool stuff that it takes to independently be able to go out to the farm and volunteer if they want to after program. Just so essentially if I'm not needed, I know I did a really good job during the week, because they feel so confident in order to to be able to go out and do that on their own time. And so that's especially for our equine programming, our goal is to make, and all of our programs, to make sure people can independently access these things in their community after program. And so for our one We did a female veterans program in March, last spring, almost a year ago now. This one individual, thanks to COVID and a whole world of other things going on, had spent almost a year in her home without leaving, and ended up agreeing to come on this program. And I picked her up, drove her out to program, and the first couple of days of not speaking or communicating with the group, being physically, body language just completely shut off and closed down to the group, had this really pivotal moment for her of leading her horse, this 1,000-pound animal, without a lunge line in our round pen. And so through simple body movements and gestures that she had learned, she was communicating efficiently on her own with this horse who's just this. It was just a beautiful moment. And in that, something clicked, and she was like, I have a voice. And then she wrote this beautiful poem and then started advocating for what she wanted to do for the rest of the week on program. She went home from program, started doing walks in her neighborhood with her granddaughter, and then started also, and this is one of the biggest wins, I like to think, that she went home with so much confidence from program that she was able to advocate for getting her driver's license back, getting the, type of medical support that she would need within the VA system, and finding a new therapist for herself, and just truly started believing that she had a voice that was supposed to be heard because of her experience with working with her horse during the week of program. And it was just this I'm getting goosebumps remembering it. It was just like this transformational experience for her and the group. It was super powerful. And I, recreating those moments, no matter what the activity is, if it's rock climbing or biking or kayaking or, our horsemanship programs, it's just so important to connect to the empowerment, connect the individual to what it feels like to be empowered, to be their own voice and advocate for themselves. And so that was just an honor to be one of the individuals who was part of that experience.
Yeah, thank you, Natasha. And I hear like all of y'all touched on a little bit that what happens within this recreational therapy program goes beyond into their life and helps make an impact in their family life and their career and personal life as well, just kind of giving them some new confidence, giving some new clarification in their life. And I think that ties nicely to our community integration model and being that upstream approach to veteran empowerment. So Natasha, you talked a little bit about community, and Eric did as well, and same with Holly, but what's the importance of the community aspect and getting people, connected to community resources beyond and your crew program?
Yeah, so Higher Grounds had this pretty cool follow-up of services program since before my time, where every individual who goes through a week-long program has support for 3 years after their week-long program experience. And so that is email check-ins, phone call check-ins from our staff, and at specific time points during that 3-year time. What we're looking to further develop, and we've been developing for about a year and piloting, is our community reintegration units, our CRU, crew units, where the idea is that once you've attended a program, if you feel that there is a next level involvement that you would like to have within our programming, like as a peer mentor, as a peer sports specialist, or captain or ambassador, we're still working on language around all of that. We want, one of the biggest things we hear from our participants is how do we give back? How do we become more involved? What else can we do? Like, I have this amount of time in my day, or I'm a stay-at-home dad and would love to be more involved, or, those types of things. And so we're working on building this crew model out to give our service members an opportunity to continue to serve their fellow veterans and their families in areas that they specialize in. And so that, could be a variety of things. If they specialize in Tai Chi or soap carving, or they're connected with the vet court, or, whole health, literally anything, if they feel it is of value to bringing back to their fellow veterans and their families. We're going through a process of what that looks like to be on program with us in that support capacity, as a means to just give an opportunity to find that drive again, find motivation to stay connected to your community again. And also, this has built out so much with our rock climbing in particular that our one crew member, our crew captain, our ambassador, has done his own climbing trips where I'm not involved at all. He just sends me pictures and is like, hey, I've taken this group of people out. I'm going to head down. If you want a campsite, I'll reserve one for you. I'm like, thanks, I'll come along. I'll take pictures of you guys or whatever. Like they totally took over logistics and setting top rope anchors and doing all these others. They developed those skills within our program and then did it independently after. And it's just exploded into this really awesome opportunity for staying connected to fellow unit members, those who are interested in similar things, empowers team members to just build the resilience and skills necessary to take that next step of engaging in their community. And so it's just been a really cool opportunity to try enhancing what is a really great follow-up program, but making it the next step better by including our past participants to bring some of their skills to the table.
Thank you, Natasha. And I know Eric talked a little bit about that too, and how they get those climbers involved in training others, and just kind of continuing to grow with that individual and have that individual grow with the program. I know that some people might come to y'all's sessions and they might have traveled to come. So what I am curious to, and for the audience, is what are some ways that they can get connected to recreational therapy programs within their community? Is there like any advice? Do you have any thoughts on that, how they can create more opportunities for veterans in their community? Because this is across the country.
So one resource that I learned about, it is called myrecreationtherapist.com. I'm going to say that again, myrecreationtherapist.com. That's where if you have somebody or a veteran who is looking for a recreational therapist, they can go to this site and it's free to the consumer. They just register, and then the My Recreation Therapist will be in contact with you. And what's really neat about that program is all of the professionals associated with it are either CTRSs or licensed rec therapists. So you're putting a professional, you're pairing up a professional with a need, which is really neat.
Thank you for sharing, Holly. And I put that in the chat box. Eric, Natasha, you have any additional thoughts on how people can get connected all throughout the country to recreational therapy programs?
So we have this ever-growing spreadsheet of resources that is basically suggested every single program this is helpful for our participants who go through program, not necessarily those who have not gone through a program yet, but essentially it is a one resource spreadsheet that all veterans have contributed to for programs and resources that they have personally experienced or participated in. And so each program has their own list of resources and different things to try. And it could be anything. It's not necessarily specific to recreation therapy, but we have found that to be a pretty neat opportunity for people to share what's family friendly, what does have a quiet space room, because I have eyes for that. And I want to know the accessibility. If I'm having, if I'm triggered by something, is there a space at this location for me to go into to regroup, recenter, those types of insights that our crew people have. And so that is what we share after our program. But myrecreationtherapist.com sounds cool. And I feel, how have I gone this long without knowing that existed?
Right, I agree there. And Caitlin, I also wanted to kind of piggyback off of Natasha. Project Sanctuary also has an extended list of resources, not all recreation resources, that we too offer to our participants or anybody who really needs any type of family support. I think a lot of the great programs out there are more than willing to share them, even if you haven't gone through the program.
Yeah, for sure. Collaboration is strong, I think, within this space. So we have 3 minutes left. If we could just get a quick goodbye blurb from each one of y'all to talk about how people get connected to your programs and if there's any specific cost or commitment to them. So Holly, do you want to go ahead?
Yeah, thanks. So you can sign up for a therapeutic retreat at projectsanctuary.us. There'll be a drop down and you can go there and it says sign up online. And we host over 30 retreats, 6-day-long retreats throughout the year. If you have any questions or information, or want to find out any information, you can go to info@projectsanctuary.us or .us. I'm so sorry. info@projectsanctuary.us. So, even if you're not interested in a retreat, but you might be interested in a resource weekend or a resource summit or just getting some extra support, you can go there and we'd be more than happy to assist you. And it is free. Sorry, you did say that. It's all funded by donors. So military families do not have to pay a penny. We provide you with lodging, food, meals, the recreation for the week, and all the classes.
Thank you, Holly. Eric, do you want to go ahead and talk about how we get connected to Catalyst Sports programs?
Sure, yeah. You can just go to catalystsports.org/veterans, and you can go in. All the programs are free, and you can kind of see who we partner with. And if you're interested in partnering with us as well, feel free to reach out to me. It's ericg@catalystsports.org. But yeah, we're currently running climbing programs around the Southeast, and really we work with Catalyst was kind of based around supporting people with physical disabilities, but within the veteran community, we need all veterans to be a part of this. So even if you're not a disabled veteran, we need people to be there and available, that are just passionate about climbing or just working with veterans, and coming out. So you can kind of quote unquote be a volunteer or a participant, but either way, it's free on either side.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you, Eric. And yes, that call to action to partner with Catalyst Sports is a unique one. So definitely reach out to Eric. Sorry, go ahead, Natasha.
No worries. highergroundusa.org /programs. I just put the chat in there, put the link in the chat there. Our programs are completely free of cost for all participants, including transportation reimbursement. And so if that is a barrier for getting to and from program, just putting that out there, that is also covered. And similar to Holly and Eric, all costs throughout the week, including the rental gear or anything like that someone might need to participate in the week-long program. And then we're currently, I believe, up to 26 week-long programs as a Higher Ground veteran program currently being run for our calendar year.
Thank you, Natasha. And thank you, Eric, Holly, and Natasha for this great panel presentation. I'm going to hand it over to Allison Williams to introduce the breakout activity, and we can all talk more in the small groups.
Hi. Thank you, Caitlin. Before we go there, did we have any questions that came up in the chat box? I know that I was just putting a question in that said, Eric mentioned journaling as a part of a recreational activity to make it more therapeutic, or other activities. Are there other activities that can be added to an activity to make it more therapeutic besides journaling? Is there something else that you guys have done?
Is this Eric specifically or rec therapy?
No, this could be anybody, rec therapy in general, just for people who are maybe doing something recreational and think, oh, maybe we can add a little bit more something to it to make it a little bit more therapeutic. What would you suggest?
I like to, and this might just be my personal facilitation style, so take it as you will, but I really enjoy starting the activity with some form of thought-provoking prompt, either asking the group what they expect to get out of it as an individual, replying, saying like, what does success look like for you today? Well, for rock climbing, it might be, I just want to get my harness on because I'm terrified of heights, and that's that. And, and then having a debrief at the end also of like, okay, well, did you not meet your goal? How can we readjust and move forward from there? And what strength did you bring to the table that will make you feel like you were successful tomorrow or in the next day's activity. And so just being really intentional about how we're reframing things that have happened, what our goals are going to be for the activity, and then connecting it back to the therapeutic benefits that have come up from it of like, oh, I really worked on my breath work that climb or that time kayaking, or, you know, that movement totally helped me and reminded me of yoga, and just making sure we're helping align those aha moments and being really intentional about the participants pointing them out themselves has worked pretty well for us.
Excellent. I saw everybody else nodding their heads and shaking. So Eric or Holly, do you have anything you want to add? That was a great answer, Natasha.
Yeah, that was perfect. I was definitely going to touch on the processing aspect, the debriefing too. Just another thing you want to be very mindful of is, you know, trying to obtain goals that are obtainable. You don't want to set a goal that's too high, and, you know, it's going to be super hard to get there. You know, you might not be able to obtain that. So just being very mindful of what your goals and expectations are. You know, there's a rec therapy, the theory of flow, and you want the expectation, you want the activity to be challenging, but not so challenging that you'll never obtain that or be able to, you know, to make that goal.
Excellent. Eric, did you want to add something?
Yeah, I think it can be as simple as highs and lows. Kind of what was your highs and lows for today or this event? You know, you don't have to remember a specific question or really put a lot of thought into it, both delivering it and waiting for response. And you'll just, again, it kind of comes back to that mindfulness and thinking about how did this impact me? And they may have just said, well, the high was getting to the top and the low was, you know, trying to get through the line. But they'll still think about, okay, well, what really was that high for the day? And maybe it was meeting new veterans for the first time, you know, in a year or something like that. So I think that's kind of an easy, quick and dirty
answer. Yeah, that's great. So Jim Dolan says, are you connected to behavioral health professionals to encourage them to make referrals to recreational therapy resources or as an alternative to to a prescription? Is anybody connected with a mental health professional organization?
Through Project Sanctuary, we have mental health professionals on staff and who come to our retreats. But other than that, I do not belong to any of those. Here in Pennsylvania, it's unfortunate for the field, and I'm sure Eric and Natasha would agree. It's not like a physical therapist where you just go online and look up physical therapy within the hospital system. You know, you have to go and do a little research. Unfortunately, you have to look at your local Parks and Recreation department, your state Parks and Recreation department, you know, and there are some physicians that are really big advocates for rec therapy, and you might hopefully have one of those, but it's not true in all cases.
Yeah, it sounds like it's a good question, right? It seems like they should be more connected with the people there locally that are in your area should be more connected to what you guys are offering all across the country. But that being said, it's a real good reason why we have everybody attending today and getting this information. So you guys can be, the participants out there can be like really telling others and telling your veterans that you work with about these wonderful organizations and these recreational therapy activities that exist. So definitely take the information and run with it, you guys that are out there. And in that, I'm going to go ahead and move us along to our breakouts. So today's, as we kind of move into it for the next 25 minutes, we're going to go into breakout groups. So in a few minutes, I'm going to open up the breakout rooms for collaboration, conversation, activity. So when those rooms are open, you'll be able to self-select a topic that you like. By clicking on the blue join to the right of each topic. So the topics today are creating community opportunities. That's with Natasha here. Topic 2 is program development with Holly here. Topic number 3 is developing partnerships with Eric. So in order to save time and have as much conversation as possible, please, don't get into a long introduction. Just say your name and where what organization you work for. And remember, this is supposed to be a discussion. So everybody, let's get our brains together and think and talk and learn new things from each other. Then we're going to come back together in 25 minutes to hear a wrap up of key takeaways from each group. So I'm going to begin. I'm going to go ahead and open those rooms up right now. Okay, welcome back, everybody. let's begin by just doing our wrap up for our key takeaways. Let's begin by hearing from group number 1. So that was Natasha. Did you appoint someone to share your key takeaways? No? That's okay. Can you share some key takeaways for us?
Sure can. Just looking at my notes really fast. We talked about the importance of providing opportunities for individuals to discover what they're passionate about and introduce them to new opportunities to maybe discover those passions or discover different parts of their identities in the reintegration process and connecting to their community, and how different organizations do that in different ways with the same goal of we are trying to identify what someone is passionate about, to help find what they're motivated about, to then, snowball impact of connecting them and their commitment to connection to services and other programs and stuff like that. And the core of it is this something that fills their cup, and how do we connect to doing more of that? I'd say overall is what our group talked about, and different ways of doing that with the variety of programs that we offer and opportunities we offer.
It sounded like you had a great conversation going on there. So yeah, and it is about getting upstream, right? And connecting veterans to something they can feel passionate about. So let's see, topic number 2. Thank you, Natasha. Topic number 2, program development. Holly, did you find someone or no? Okay, go ahead.
We were just so involved in the conversation.
Yeah.
And I totally forgot about it. And I didn't even take notes, but we're going to do this. So no, we had a great conversation just about, we started off with the 4 components of the TR process. I know Eric mentioned it very early on in our conversation about the API. If you want to develop a program, you're going to assess your clientele, you're going to do the planning, the implementation, and then the evaluation. We also touched on how the data collection and the evaluation can help with securing grants. It can help with getting feedback to help future participants to make sure what you're currently doing is working, because you're getting that feedback from the people you're serving. And they're going to give you the good, the bad, and the ugly, so then you can move forward and either change something or continue something that's working.
Excellent. Yes, it is true. In order to get programs going and started and keep them going, you have to have that funding. And so you have to keep those metrics. Right, for our 3rd group, developing partnership, Eric?
Yeah, everyone in our group is all about partnership. So they're on top of it. It sounds like Shep, I think he puts a resource on there, the US Vet Connect. And he's very connected within Oklahoma, and as well as it sounds like Jim in Illinois, and yeah, pretty much I'd love for a way to share. Hopefully everyone shares everyone's informations on how to connect. I think, one thing that came across is checking your egos out the door. Someone said being humble of heart, like this is for the veterans. Like if you, someone else was saying, if someone comes in with an ego, they're probably not going to leave it at the door. They're probably going to come into the room with the ego, and also there are a lot of veteran organizations out there, right? And so big thing is to not waste your time with other organizations that don't want to collaborate. There's no point in trying to convince them that you want to collaborate. There are tons of people that are vet focused and vet first, and they want to collaborate no matter what it looks like. So I think those were just some of the key takeaways for partnerships.
Excellent. That is, yeah. If you have any, please everybody put your information in the breakout notes, and I will share that with everybody in the after actions. So I appreciate you guys all being here today. I want to quick ask you a question, if you don't mind, in order to save. So before I hand it back to Jeanette, we're kind of looking for topics that might be in something you would like to hear in the symposium that we have coming up in 2022. We hope to have it live in Atlanta, Georgia. So if you can put in the chat box just topics that you would like to hear more about and explore, that would be helpful to us, and we can make sure we get those topics in the hopper. So with that, I'm going to hand it back to Jeanette, who's going to close this out. Jeanette?
All right. So thank you to Eric, Natasha, and Holly again for their very informative presentations. We really appreciate that. Our next battle rhythm will take place on March 7th, 2022 at 2 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And the topic will be empowering women veterans through social network. So we're hoping that you all can join us for that one. I'd like to thank you all for collaborating and sharing. At America's Warrior Partnership, we empower communities to empower veterans. And we hope that today provided you with powerful insight, best practices, new partners, and tools in order for you to be able to do just that. We believe communities are best equipped to improve the quality of life for their veterans. And our goal at America's Warrior Partnership is to provide community partners like yourselves with all the support and resources that you need to help you deliver the quality services that your veterans richly deserve. Thank you so much and have a great rest of your day. See you in March.